What does forgiveness mean to you? Does it have a place in your life? When I think of forgiveness, I often think of phrases like forgive and forget, which I think makes the concept challenging. When we're hurt, it's not easy to forget. I would instead suggest to you that forgiving is not so much about acceptance, justification, or forgetting, but rather about releasing. I have come to learn that forgiveness is really for ourselves and is a healthy way to cast off toxic emotions. Yes, another form of decluttering, allowing us to move on and to grow. I've also found that we struggle most with forgiving ourselves. So today, we shed light on self-forgiveness and how turning it inward helps us build resilience. You're listening to the Positively Living Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Zawrotny, founder of Positively Productive Systems and a coach certified in time and stress management, helping clients make space for what matters most in their lives. Join me each episode and we'll talk about decluttering, stress management, habits, personalized productivity, gratitude, and so much more. I understand the overwhelm of life because I'm a wife, mom to kids and cats, and a former caregiver. I'm here to help you choose what's right for you so you can do less, live more, and breathe easier. Sound good? Let's get to it. One of the best parts of being a podcast host is the connection I make with my guests. If I'm lucky, I not only make a deep, long-term connection, I get to meet other guests through them. Today's episode is in honor of just such a connection, thanks to my guest from episode 23, Pay Attention, Find Your Purpose, Michelle Perry. Michelle introduced me to today's guest, and you are going to be blown away by the work she has done and the wisdom she has amassed. Today, I welcome our Patryce Bryant to the Positively Living Podcast. Patryce Bryant is a career coach, musician, singer, songwriter, and producer of creative arts. She is the host of While We Wait, a live video interview series that airs every Thursday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. While We Wait is a platform dedicated to inspiration, motivation, and empowerment. Patryce says, "It is my goal to use this platform to resuscitate those that need emotional oxygen, and to lift spirits and to give hope to the hopeless. I believe that I am an agent to assist with settling the issues of the heart. I am passionate about assisting the underdog with their shine, hoping that I can connect them with the strength to fulfill their destiny and life's journey." You can tell from those words what an inspiring woman she is, and today's conversation is packed with that encouragement and hope she is dedicated to delivering. Patryce shares her story with a spin today of how, despite being abused and put down by so many in the world, the wise words of her grandmother created the foundation for her to stay grounded and determined. It's not just the outside world that challenges us. She and I talk about those conflicting voices in your head, the cheerleader and the mean girl. Yeah, and how habits and purpose can combine to help you overpower the negative one. Today's episode is a bit like a life coaching 101 class where the homework is optional, but recommended. She covers purpose, choice, habits, reflection, celebration, seeking help, and so much more. So much that we've talked about on the podcast. You can tell Patryce has done the work, and she offers a variety of steps you can take to do the work yourself, or check the work you have done. And what's the point of it all? To find and keep your peace, your strength, and your power. Welcome, Patryce Bryant, to the Positively Living Podcast. I am so honored and delighted that you joined me here today to share your story and your infectious positivity and encouragement.
Thank you. It is my absolute honor. It's my privilege. Thank you.
Would you start by telling us a bit about who you are, who you help, what makes you light up?
Well, who I am, I would say I am strength, I am laughter, and I am power. I am a native of New Haven, Connecticut, And I grew up in parochial school systems. I've been involved with music all of my life. I literally stood up with a choir as early as 14 months, and I even had a robe, believe it or not. And my grandmother was the church organist, so she made that happen. It has been always been my passion to promote people, to share positivity, whether it was through music or words of encouragement, poetry. And I came into what I do. I'm the host of While We Wait. I came into it after speaking with some girlfriends who are single and just discussing the stigmas. There was a time at my church, I would say in a 2-year span, honestly, it had to be, no exaggeration, like 20 weddings. And it was none of us, so it was basically the Xers, Generation X, so we started, we were like, well, what's wrong with us? But other people made us feel that way because it was like, well, why aren't you dating? Well, why aren't what's wrong with you? And, so we're saying, okay, well, what's wrong with us? But after investigating that, I started to say, you know what, there is nothing wrong with us. We are single by choice. And, for me, I have a desire, but it's not like, just going to break my heart if I don't, because I found my empowerment. And there was a time when I was longing, like, oh my God, I want to be married. I want to be married. But I didn't know if I wanted to be married for me or if I wanted to be married because everybody else was doing it. So While We Wait started that way and switched over because besides just single women coming on, other people, men were coming on, married people were coming on because I was sharing and expressing empowerment. So it's just natural for me always to want to give you something, not a weakness. I want to give you something that's going to help you get to the next place of empowerment.
I love that. And it was through your exploration, and not just exploration, but acceptance of yourself that, I think you brought people in and they could feel that, I think. And that's why you have the following you do now. And that's part of how we met, which is just incredible. So stepping back, even a little further. So that was sort of the path where you've always had this inclination to share this positivity and strength and, I think capability, right? And looking for the can do. And I think that's what resonated with you and with me, where I was like, I love her can do spirit. It's seeking out what the possibilities and the opportunities are, right?
Absolutely. And I came to that can do in a very challenging way because I've had people that I looked up to make me feel like nothing and literally tell me that you'll never be anything. And that's saying it very kindly. So with everything that was in me, that was there for someone that you love to say that to you, it's like, wait, what? And I believe what helped me come out of that is my grandmother raised me, and what she instilled in me was so powerful. And I always tell everyone, you can take everything away from me, but you can never take the gold that she gave me. And one of it was self-confidence. And even though I may have I may have waved on it because of life situations, or it would always come back to me because the way she spoke to me made me feel like I could do anything. So that drips off of me. I can do anything, and so can you. And I'm always for the underdog because you always have the set of people that come off to be the superior, or I'm better than you, or I can do it better than you. And I'm like, okay, perhaps you can, but whatever the assignment that I have, that's something that only I can do. So I want to do that in excellence, and I will reach who I'm supposed to reach. So I believe once you know where your lane is, what your God-given assignment is on earth, it cancels out the negativity. It really does. And even your assignment for you becomes so much more pure because you're not doing it to compete. You're doing it because someone needs to hear what I'm saying or what I'm doing. It's gotta reach, and it will.
It sounds like this concept that we talk about a lot, I think, in the entrepreneurial world, but really everywhere, where when your why takes over.
Yes, gotta know your why.
So do you remember some of the words or the ideas or the things that your grandmother expressed to you that lifted you up in that way?
One of the first things that I can remember right off is I have half sisters and brother. Well, I guess they're my sisters and brothers from my father. And I've always been, really good. Like I was the youngest girl and, they just embraced me. And I so looked up to them and I would always say, oh, they're so pretty. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. And I guess my grandmother got tired of me. She was like, you're pretty, and I was like, oh, like, wow. So it was always something like that. Or she was always encouraging me. Like, honestly, she encouraged me to a fault. And I say that because with encouragement, and she did what she knew to do. With encouragement, you also want to encourage to do better or do more. Or if you're good at something, don't let your talent just be what it is. Take it to the next place. So that's the only thing. But listen, she had me thinking I was Superman. I could leap off of a tall building.
I love that. And like, even in that moment that you're describing where you were looking to others and you were admiring them, and she was turning it around on you and kind of giving you that nudge to look inward and be like, oh, I am this also. I have this possibility also. Oh, that's a beautiful
Absolutely.
thing. Take that with you, that you too can do this. And I think that's something that happens to us is, and it's something you even mentioned in your first description of why you created While We Wait, is that this idea of when we get these outward messages, right, from the world, from society, there's these expectations, there's concepts that come in, and it makes us question, it makes us wonder,
It does.
right? And sometimes very blatantly, people will come along and make us feel less than as well, which all happened to you. But that idea of outward messages coming in and being able to stop and say, hang on a minute.
Yeah. Those messages come. And even if they don't, we always have those two voices on the inside of us. We've got either the negative cheerleader or we've got the powerful, positive one. And it is, we have to squash out the negative one. And even if the negative one is shouting loud, for instance, I played music for many, many years. And I know that I could have been so much greater. Some things had been said to me and, it discouraged me. But on this side of life, especially during COVID, I said, you know what? I'm going to go back and master this. I don't have one teacher. I have two teachers. So the thing is, you don't stop because of what someone says. You come back with a vengeance. Make it so, that and I have to do this. It's just like working out for me. If I don't work out, if I don't walk, because I did it so long, I remember one year I lived near a park. I walked every day, even during the back, except if it snowed or rained hard. But if it was snow on the ground and I could make it out, I would go out. So you have to make it so, if I don't do this, almost like I've done something wrong. It's got to become like a mandate within you. And once you create that habit, creating those positive habits, it will just click on for you.
That's like one of my favorite topics, right? The habits, and those positive habits, those are the habits that feed you, that nourish you, that keep you going. And what you're talking about is combining that habit development,
Yes.
and feeling like you can't help but do this thing. And then when you combine that with being very clear on your why, what you're trying to achieve,
Yes.
That's a powerful combination.
It really is. It really is. I was just thinking, anything we want to do, and you can't listen to a lot of stuff. Some things you have to like hear and just let it go. There are so many things that are said. For instance, when you get this age, da 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 da. To me, that's negativity because now our numbers go up. We mature, but we don't. We can manage some things. Some things don't have to be. For instance, I look at Jada Pinkett Smith's mom, who is between 60 and 70. Amazing. Now, I don't know if she paid for her body. I don't know, but I'm willing to work for it. So it's like so many things are said. Just people always, or even if someone gets sick, okay, well, when I got sick, okay, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen to me. So you really have to just, what do you want? Figure out what is it that you want? I'm looking at how do I want to look when I get this age? What should I have accomplished for me when I get this age? I'm looking at, what is it that I want to pass down to the next generation, to my granddaughter. I think when she was born, it just shifted my whole world. Like, I was like, oh my God, I had such a greater responsibility. Like, I've got to pour into her the same things that my grandmother poured into me. There's some wisdoms, there's some little things, because you can get the book knowledge, but manners, etiquette, how to speak, how to present yourself will get you indoors that just book knowledge alone will not. So there's such a great responsibility. And so I can't afford to get old. I can't afford to get feeble, because I need to keep up with my granddaughter. She's only a year and a half. So I got some years. I want to be able to run with her. I want to be the cool grandma. She calls me my dear, so what does old mean to you? Okay. So you keep your mind sharp. You gotta, create those, like you said, those positive habits and it works. It absolutely works.
Oh, without a doubt. And I mean, you're talking about it's beyond purpose, but it's intentional design of the life that we want to live.
Absolutely. There's something I saw, is a deliberate practice. Like, to be able to learn anything. And practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So even in your practicing, it has to be correct, but you can develop this insatiable hunger for good. Like, I've been in the tailspin of just going down. And so I know what that is. I've been in habits that were not healthy and felt like I was out of control. So why can't I, and I can, and I have flipped that. So now I am on an upward swing, and my habits have changed. I am hungry for life, because life is wonderful. It can be, even with everything going on, yet there's a lot going on. You take in as much as you can. And for me, I still come back to, what is it that I can do?
Exactly. And there's something so important to remember about what you're talking about with the habits and the steps that we take. And there's a book that I read long ago, and I've mentioned it so many times, and I always mention it again because it was both encouraging and a sort of a cautionary tale at the same time. It's called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. And it's this idea of the baby steps, the little steps, and how they make a difference. And there's a profound concept in there that's a little a little scary sometimes to me too, but it's an important reminder. It keeps me in check, which is that when we make these little choices, these little steps, and we move forward, if we're doing something that serves us, like you're talking about, the positive, healthy habits, that compound effect, which there is a book by that name as well, that sort of is I guess, a companion piece, I consider. Darren Hardy's is sort of a response to that. It talks about the same concept. So if you look at a graph, you're starting to edge upward, in the direction that you want to go. But the profound concept to me was that if you have, you think that you're being neutral, or you don't do those habits, and you possibly also do habits that aren't serving you, you are going to track downward.
It's true. It's true. Even with something as simple as a drop of water, or water continuously dripping, just one drop at a time can fill up a cup, can fill up a sink, can fill up a bathtub, one drop at a time. But it's just those, like you said, the baby steps, and it adds up. I mean, even with food, wherever we desire to be, or let's say where we don't desire to be, it doesn't happen overnight. And it's the same way with turning that thing around. So we have to pace ourselves for whatever it is. Like, I'm not going to be a concert pianist overnight. I want to be, but day by day.
I love that image of the drip of water. You're absolutely right. And I do try so hard to walk my talk here. And for the last couple weeks, I incorporated a new music practice for myself.
Yes.
And it is incredible to me. I gave myself the challenge of saying, listen, 5 minutes,
Yes.
15, but really just every day.
Yes.
Every day, show up to do it. And that's, by the way, how we start a habit, is in the simplest, smallest possible step that feels doable. So if I say to myself, can you promise to do 5 minutes a day? I go, yeah. And frequently I can do more than that.
Absolutely. And it feels good when you keep your promise to yourself. That's a reward. It's so rewarding.
I love that. And that segues beautifully into exploring a little bit about how we're handling our our emotions and our challenges and the stuff that's going on inside of us when we are trying so hard to be resilient and to overcome, the challenges that we have, especially that sort of come to us from, you talked about the cheerleaders, I talk about inner mean girl, right?
That inner mean girl. Yeah.
Right. So when we are, listening to both voices and making a choice as to what we listen to and what we do, forgiveness is a part of that. And I think self forgiveness to me, I think is one of the bigger challenges because I think when we're looking outward to someone else and they wrong us, I mean, there's challenge enough in figuring out how that plays in our world.
Absolutely.
But what are your thoughts on how we handle, our mess ups and the things that we do that, our regrets and things like that?
Sure. One of the things I have some, we all do, but I have some areas in my life from the past that the first thing is accepting that it is what was done, and not playing the blame game, even if you weren't totally responsible. So the first thing is to let go if anyone else is involved. You have to let it go for your own freedom, for your own peace of mind, accepting what was done. In many cases, and this is a hard pill to swallow, but where I am right now is because of my own choices. And that's a hard pill. And people have argued, well, someone did it, and it maybe so, maybe so. But one thing I've realized, especially about myself and about most women, once we make up our mind to do something, it's going to be done, be it good, be it bad, be it indifferent. So there's got to be a resolve. We've got to find a place of resolve. Like, okay, I hate what happened. And knowing you can't go back and fix anything. You can't go back. It's done. What's done is done is done. And you just really have to woosah on that, and it might take you a little bit just to wrap your head around. And it really does take time and energy. And sometimes reflecting is painful. So getting that resolve and then starting from today. Today, I make up my mind to move forward. Today, I make up my mind to be a better person. And I won't go back to the things that was. There's a scripture that says, old things are passed away. Behold, all things are new. Some paths I start daily. Some paths I start, I have to keep starting during the day, depending on what we're talking about. And it's okay. It's okay. And then making a list of what you want, how you want to live, really beginning to understand who you are is so powerful, because a lot of times we don't know who we are. We don't know what we want. We don't know where we're going. We're just literally existing and floundering in life. So you have to take time to write these things out. And it doesn't have to be fast. Like just even for this year, I know some areas that I want to obtain. I don't do resolutions. I just kind of look and see, where am I at? What turns do I need to make? Which way am I going to go? And I'm still working on some things, really just to solidify, because I don't want to make false promises to myself, because I think we have disappointed ourselves greater than anybody else could disappoint us. So I don't want to do that. So acceptance, starting fresh, letting go of the past and looking forward. And rewarding yourself. Celebrate every small step. One of the things I work to do is at night, reflect back of my day, and then maybe at the end of the week, reflect my week. What happened? What could I have done better? What worked? And then if there's anything to celebrate, and I'm like, that was good. Or, and normally what is good is, what have we done for someone else? Normally that's what it is. It felt good. Even my livelihood, how many people did I touch? How many people did I reach? I was sick a few weeks ago, and I came back early because I was like, oh, I need to talk to my people, because there was so much going on. I wanted to make sure that everyone was okay. So really just doing that self-reflection, and then look back. Success is measurable. So after however you want to set it up for your life, you have to customize it for you. What do you want? Figure it out. And then what steps will you take to make it happen? Just like I talked about music, I take an online course for music, and then I have a music instructor to get me where I want. I've taught myself music theory. I had music theory before, and I was really taking myself and pulling everything together. But I also realized that I needed someone to kind of give me the techniques to put it all together so I'm moving in the right direction. So with that said, sometimes you do need assistance. So whether you get a life coach like Lisa or you get a therapist, I reached a certain age and I said, you know what? I'm going to go talk to someone because I wanted to dump. That was my objective. I promise you, after I just dumped, I had a wonderful person to talk with. After I did a dump, and when I say dump, I shared everything I could think of that I did or that happened to me. And I literally buried it. And when I drove off of the grounds of that therapist, I was so surprised that the weight of the world, I was driving going, oh my God, I feel good. So, so I went back for one more session. And it's so interesting that the first session was for me. The second session was for her. So, and I mean, until the point she was like, oh my God, I'm so glad we met. That was supposed to happen for whatever reason, but it felt good to get that burden off my shoulders. You don't have to live with that. Get it out of your system. Detox from lifestyles, detox from poor mindsets. Detoxing your mind is just like detoxing your body. It is good for the soul.
Oh, amen to that. And you're speaking my language because it's what I call decluttering. And honestly, Patryce, leave it to you to show up to a therapist and be like, I needed to be there for her. Like, just leave it to you.
It was funny. She gave me an assignment and I remember coming back and I said, well, I'm not certain what you were looking for. I remember sharing information. She was a Christian therapist. So I am a minister. I'm on the board of elders of a church. So, I work to think a certain way. So I came back and she was like, I didn't even think of that. But it was really, really good just for that connection. It was good.
Yeah. And, doing for others, there's this fine line that I talk about quite a bit in that I want to do for others. That's part of why I show up. And so many of the people that I help want to do for others. The only thing that I'm trying to keep the balance of is to make sure that we do this in a way that's not only authentic and genuine, but also isn't to our detriment.
Yes.
Because there can be that fine line between giving so much that we don't fill ourselves up, that we don't come back and understand that we need to make sure that the choices reflect our values and that we have, the energy and that we're giving ourselves the same kindness that we are trying to pass around to others in this world.
So true. Yes. You can get drained by certain, I'll say, personalities, because some people are like leeches and are very needy.
Yeah.
So I have learned I will take you as far as I can. And, if it's not working for me, then I have to honestly let go, because some people, and they're not bad people. It's just the mindset that they have, that they're just needy, and they want to, latch on and not change. They never cross over, or it never connects for them. So in that case, because I'm not a therapist, I'm not a life coach, I would have to then pass them on. I would have to make the suggestion, and I'm fine doing that. It may be beneficial if. So you got to know when to let go.
Yeah, no, that's so important. And, I have to make the same choice as a certified coach, where there are times, and I've done this quite a bit. I've done this when I've had conversations before someone's considering, having me as a coach. Sometimes while I'm coaching, it kind of depends, but there have definitely been times when I'm like, this is not my lane. I would recommend, therapy for. And Mallory Jackson was on the podcast. We talked about trauma-informed life. And so I want to give a shout out to her because she touched upon so many of these things that you have brought up so beautifully, which is not only this awareness and seeking help and understanding, limits and all of these things. And so she talks about the different modalities. And so we have to understand where where we're placed and what we're meant to do and what we're able to do. And then, and to know when we have to step back.
Gotta know. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh God, you have just been like a fountain of good advice. I've made so many notes here. I wish you could see my notebook.
It's just from experience. Like, I had to put the work in for me. I didn't like where I was, the person I was. I didn't like what was happening. I was angry, just filled with so much, just overwhelmed. And I'm like, there's got to be a better life than this.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that what life you want, you have to make that life for yourself. So we've worked hard to get to this place. Very, very hard. Blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes. Yes. If you take nothing else away today, it's do the work, but that it's worth it too. And that it does start with forgiving yourself for whatever happened before, forgiving others, accepting, allowing, resolving.
Yes.
I love that word, resolve. And speaking of, not doing intentions, but instead being more clear, not doing resolutions, but rather more intentions is what I mean to say. I love picking a word of the year. So, and that to me is a way in which I have sort of an anchor and a filter, if you will, where it's very easy, super, super simple to have this word. And sometimes people will use a phrase or multiple words. I mean, again, you do you, but this idea of having something that reminds me of where I want to be, how I want to show up, what I want to invite more into my life this coming year, that tends to help me. But everything that you described, you're talking about self-awareness, about clarity, and about choice. And we've talked about choice so many times on the Positively Living podcast.
Wow.
And with good reason, because it's one of the most powerful things.
It really is.
Right. And it's one of the things that can't be taken away from us.
It's true. And Lisa, it's a wonderful thing to be able to wake up in peace. And this doesn't mean that everything is wonderful, but to be able to be free, having that liberty of waking up in peace, not feeling bad about yourself because of poor choices, not feeling guilt, you're not carrying guilt and shame because of things. And you get knocked, you still deal with your emotions and you work to maneuver and strategize and practice responses to, certain personalities, but you cannot purchase peace. My peace to me is so valuable and I guard it with everything within me. I have cut off relationships. Peace is powerful. Just to have that ground, you got to be grounded, and I need that. Because I come from, first of all, women, we deal more with our emotions. And then you have to know your family. My family, they're panickers, love them, but they can be all over the place. And I'm like, that doesn't work for me. I'm like, wait a minute, let me bring myself in, No. So peace is, I need that. I like me, when you can love yourself, like yourself, and be like, you know what, I'm okay. I'm really okay. I'm a good person. I'm okay. I could not always say that. Not perfect at all. I still have I'm an artist, so I'm quirky, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay in this world.
Yeah, there's no need for perfection. There is need of you and you showing up authentically and being good with yourself, because when you have that acceptance and that appreciation, it's not just that you accept yourself, but that you appreciate yourself and all you are and all your quirks and all your wonderful traits and your talents and your intentions. That's when you shine the brightest, in my opinion.
And it's so interesting that perfect in the Bible, it does speak of being perfect, but perfect in that sense means to be complete. I am made whole. I am complete.
I love that. And I love what you said. And I think this is the perfect way to wrap up what we're saying today. You said you cannot purchase peace.
It's so valuable.
That's right. It's so valuable and it's so powerful. And every choice you make moving forward needs to be with that peace in mind, because that is where your power is.
It is. It absolutely is. I want to be able to walk into situations and there's just, I can just imagine Gandhi or Jesus or, one of those great spiritual leaders, Mandela, just the pictures and, we saw pictures of Jesus, but seeing Gandhi or Mandela in his element, it just looked like wherever he showed up, there was just this peace, this peaceful power. I want that. I want to drip with peace.
There you go. And that's the way to do it. All right. Patryce, are you ready for a fun rapid wrap up?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
I was born ready. Let's do it.
I know you are. All right. And you're going to love this one, my music friend. Fill in the blank, please. The song that always makes me dance is?
Sing a song, Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love the elements.
What a good group. Love that. Okay. And how about the quote or mantra I share all the time is?
Definitely now with While We Wait and even outside is be strong, be wise, keep enhancing your life because life is worth living.
Beautiful. And the resource, book, or app that makes my life easier is?
I would have to say two. The first one would be definitely the Bible. I love being in the Proverbs, and something I'm studying out now is wisdom. So I'm really digging deep for that. And the other one, The Art of War.
Ooh, good one. I love asking these questions. There's always a different answer for every one of them. And it's brilliant. The Art of War. Excellent. I'll make sure to link that in the show notes. And last, but definitely not least, what or whom are you grateful for today?
The what would be the gift of life, definitely. And the who would be family. And family is just not your biological family. Family is who you make your family. So I would say family.
I am with you on that all the way.
Yes.
All right. And I am so incredibly grateful for you that we met, that you came here to share so much of your wisdom, so much of the work that you have done. You have now shared in a beautiful summary today. I mean, this is like life coaching 101 here. You're going to be walking away with today, thanks to Patryce. So, and I'm sure that everyone who listens to this will want to come join you on While We Wait. And I really hope they do. So that's where we can find you online. But can you tell us specifically, so just searching in Facebook for While We Wait, where can we find you?
Searching in Facebook for While We Wait, or on YouTube under R. Patryce Bryant. And Patryce is spelled with a Y. Okay.
So I'll definitely have the links. But yeah, if you look on Facebook for While We Wait, that's a good way to catch her. Then I'm sure you can also connect on YouTube as well. I'll have all the links to the things that we chatted about, to ways that you can find Patryce in the show notes. Thank you so much for shining your light in this world and for sharing it with us today.
You're so welcome, Lisa. It's my privilege. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
All forgiveness is self-forgiveness. Wayne Dyer. Thank you for joining me on the Positively Living podcast. Your time is precious, and I'm honored you chose to spend it with me. Would you like to further explore the topics you've heard and implement what inspires you? Could you use some coaching support? What if you could attend a private Q&A with my guests and access bonus content? You can do all that and more in the Positively Living membership community. Check the link in the show notes or head to positivelyproductive.com/membership to enroll. I look forward to having you join me next episode and in the community. Until then, keep it positive and keep making space for what matters most.